So this is just gonna be another short, quick video. I gotta get to bed soon, but I wanted to talk about risks and how people say, like, take the risk. Don't be afraid to take the risk. Like, but nobody really explains what the feeling of taking the risk is. Like, it is nerve-wracking. Like, it's not something you're gonna feel comfortable doing, especially first time doing so. Like, taking that first initial risk is gonna feel like there's everything to lose. But the reality is, if you don't risk, and I mean, if you, like, quite literally, if you don't risk or take any risks in life, there will be no gain. There will be no gain. If you don't take the risk of being healthy, or taking that step towards that career path, or taking that step into that relationship, there'll be no gain. There will be no gain. Like, you may think when you walk into the gym and you're overweight, you may think that everybody's eyes are on you, but realistically, nobody cares. Like, they're all in the gym for the same reason, right? And you may feel very uncomfortable. You may feel nervous. You may think like you have, like, anxiety because there's so many people around you and you're starting to become insecure. If you keep going every single day and keep taking that risk and start, I guess you could say, reprogramming your brain, or just getting comfortable being in the gym and feeling that feeling, it'll eventually go away. Just like taking a risk. Take the risk. I can't express how many times I've failed in all my attempts of taking the risk. But I can not also express the amount of wins that I've had from taking the risk. But it's interesting, whether I failed or whether I gained something, I felt like in the end, I won. Because, like, if I gained, okay, cool, I won. I got exactly what I was praying and hoping for. But if I lost, it was just a lesson for me to learn to win eventually. There's no disadvantage when taking a risk, because when you take a risk, when you lose, regardless of whether you win or lose, you will have learned something about yourself, and it will be a lesson for you to grow from, right? So it's gain or growth. Gain or growth. So take the risk. Take the risk. I will give an example. I took the risk of dropping out of college. And for me, that was a risk because I was always fed that you got to go to school in order to be successful, blah, 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 blah. But I knew if I wasn't playing sports, I was not going to school. And after my third injury in my, third injury in my summer going into my sophomore season, I was like, I'm done. Like, I'm not doing this anymore. And I told myself, I was like, you know, even though I don't necessarily, like, I had an idea of what I wanted to do, and it was going to help me get to where I thought I wanted to be, or what I wanted to do. So I at least had some sort of idea, but necessarily it wasn't set in stone. Like, there was a chance, but there was no certainty, right? And I was willing to take that risk because I was like, I'm not going to sit here 8 hours away from home at a school that I don't even like. For what? For what? Just to be in debt when I get out in 4 years? Forget it. So I took the risk. And it's so funny. I went through so much hell during that period of me dropping out. And I went to, like, I started going out to parties more. I was back home with my mom, and my mom was cussing me out, saying, like, why don't you have a job, this, that, and the third, like, you don't pay bills. But reality, I was trying to get my videography up and going, and that's all I wanted to focus on, and my editing up and going. But I didn't want to focus on anything else, but I ended up having to get a job, getting at that job, and then quitting that and moving on to a new one. And then it wasn't until then that I started my business, and ever since then, my life has been, it's been a movie. My life has been a movie, and it's been beautiful because if I didn't ever take that initial risk, it's interesting because I had a buddy that I went to school with in college, and I went to his graduation this past May in 2025, and I'll never forget when he was graduating. I was thinking to myself, I was like, yo, like, I know he definitely enjoyed himself at school, but I can only imagine if I was still going to school, what kind of person I'd be coming out. Because like I was just thinking, I was like, dude, if I was coming out of school now, I'd be so far behind in terms of like my personal development journey. Like me as a person. Like I would have never been baptized. I would have never started my business. I would have never met multi-millionaires. I would have never met the people that I've met. Like it blew my mind. I was like, dude, 3 years went by like that. And all the risks that I took led up to this moment. And even though I'm not where I want to be in life, I have made so much progress that I am so blessed for and thankful for. And it's interesting because now I'm at a point now where I'm used to the feeling, that risk feeling, like where you're kind of nervous, you're on the fence, and then when you sit there and start contemplating, you start overthinking. Like for me, once I start overthinking, I just do it. I either do it or I really do it. I just do it. Yeah, I just do it. I don't think I can't think of a time where I haven't taken a risk and I just did it anyways. Yeah. Because my mindset, it's always been like, what's there to lose? What's there to lose? I have so much more life ahead of me. Like, what is there to lose if it doesn't work out? I'm back to the drawing board. And sometimes people get irritated by that. Like, people want to get it on the first try. Like, everybody wants to hit a bullseye on the first throw. But then what? If you hit bullseye on the first throw, then what? How do you follow up with that? That would suck. I would much rather hit black, like not even hit the board, right? I think that's what it's called. I don't know dark terms. But I'd rather not even hit the board, and then on my 100th try, I hit bullseye 3 times in a row. I'd much rather do that. Than hit bullseye first try and then never hit bullseye again. That would freaking suck. So take the risk. Take the risk. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how far along you are. It doesn't matter your position. I think you should weigh a risk based upon the outcome in which you seek, and if it will be more beneficial if it happens. If it happens, great. But let's say it doesn't happen. If it hurts you in any way possible, don't take it. Like, for example, like if let's say if I were to put 50 grand in, right? Like, let's say like on a bet or like a stock or something. I put 50 grand in, and let's say the upside was $500,000. I don't know, something like that. But the downside was just I'm out 50 grand, right? Actually, that's a bad analogy. Let me do something a little bit more feasible. Let's say $100. Let's say I put $100 in on a bet. Upside, I win $1,000. Downside, I lose $100. if I have more hundreds to spend than thousands, why not throw in that 100 to make 1,000? Why not? Why not? Because if I lose the 100, then I'm out 100. I'm not going to bet again, right? Maybe just wait for another opportunity, and then maybe bet another $100 when I have more hundreds, right? So weigh a risk based upon if it will benefit you more than it would hurt you. I think that's the best way to take the risk. And if it is, and you find yourself in that situation where you're sitting there and you're contemplating, you're overthinking, stop yourself in the middle of like thinking and just do it. Because it will kill you if you just sit there and think and let your mind race. Because your brain has taught you how to survive and not how to take risk and chances. So you have to rewire your brain, and over time, you will build this habit of taking risks. And not only that, getting comfortable with taking risks and how to take risks. So I hope this was educational for whoever was watching this. But most importantly, I hope this impacted somebody to make a decision and take a risk that they have been contemplating for forever. So take that risk. You never know what might happen if you just do it. That sounds like a commercial from Nike, but it's true. Take the risk. And regardless of whether you win or lose, you'll always win.